All right, welcome everyone. We are live on YouTube right now. We're going to be talking about the marketplace update, and then we're going to lead into a pricing conversation. I don't think we're going to have enough time to get to the pricing competitively conversation because there's still quite a few graphs and grids that we need to understand. I'm still hearing from a lot of you that we need to cover more marketplace information and how do I go about getting that information out to my clients. So hopefully tonight you'll be able to get some good tips and tricks on how to do that effectively. We are hearing about some great things from a lot of you of what's working and what's not working. So be sure to chat if you have questions or if you have ideas as we go through this. You can also on YouTube go through and chat that way, or at the end of the call, we'll open it up so that you guys can speak. But really this graph, in my opinion, if I was doing a lot of listings or a buyer's agent, I would print some of these graphs out. I can make these available very easily on our homepage after the call, but these graphs are really, really good at helping a buyer or a seller understand what's going on in the marketplace. This one right here is one of my favorites. I found this one from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it really talks about the unemployment rates. A lot of people are asking about, with all of the unemployment rising, will it have an impact on real estate? And so this graph clearly shows, if you got to understand how to explain it, but if you look back in the 1980s, the line that's the yellow line, the 1, 2, 3, and 4, that's the unemployment rate. So back in the 80s, it was a 7.5%. 6%, 9.6, we might be 10, 11, 12, who knows what percentage we might be at. But as you can see, the housing, the blue and the gray on the graph there, that blue and the gray, that's the housing. On the left side is how many units or how many sales took place during that time, overlaid with the unemployment. And as you can see, even in 2008, when the inventory was huge. I mean, we had like an oversupply of inventory. You can see the amount of units, there was still real estate being done, you guys. It wasn't like it dropped off where there was nothing being done. And in fact, as you kind of see the recovery, still the units are hovering around that 4 to 5, 5.5 million mark. So kind of look at that graph, maybe take that. Lending standards tightened significantly during 08. We're not seeing that. We had a little blip last week with the jumbo, but there are other lenders who popped in and who are doing our jumbo loans. No issues this week. And this weekend, we were able to find another lender or find alternative financing for a lot of those buyers who were struggling with the jumbo. So, and then down payment assistance, we actually have found a couple lenders who are still doing some down payment assistance. And good news, veterans are actually getting kind of an opportunity because Washington State Housing is not doing loans right now, at least for the time being. So that's providing a lot of intricate conversations to be having with your buyers regarding this graph. So love this graph. If you want to grab that and include that in your presentation, I think especially if you know how to read it and explain it, it would be really, really helpful for your buyers or sellers. Next slide. So a lot of you are making a lot of phone calls, which is awesome. It's so good to hear when you're actually having conversations with your clients. So here's how the conversation is typically going. Hi, this is Rochelle. I just wanted to call and check and make sure you and your family are okay. How are you doing? And that's a great warm-up question anyways. But the answer that I'm hearing, and I'm overhearing a lot of conversations that real estate brokers in the office or that I'm consulting with are making, and the answer that they're giving, I asked them, what are you typically hearing when you ask that question? And they usually say, I'm just hanging in there. So the clients are just hanging in there. So I'm kind of tired of the hanging in there. We need to add more content and ask more questions to connect better with your client. So here's what I would suggest you do in the next 7 to 14 days. Is kind of dive in deeper into the conversation. Many of my clients or much of my family has been asking me questions about real estate, asking me, Rochelle, how are you doing with your real estate business? Do you have any questions for me? kind of have this dialogue with your clients about real estate and segue into that. Again, we're not trying to sell them a house. Like, do you want to go look at properties, or do you want to go list your home? It doesn't go, you don't want to jump to that far, but you just want to ask and strike up conversations about real estate in general. And then if they say, yeah, tell me more, I'm curious about my market, is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? I'm kind of confused. What you can then say to them, and this is the scripting that I would give you today, I cannot tell you where the market is going. What I can do is share what's going on locally in the area that I'm watching to give you a better perspective. And then you can show them some local graphs. I have some samples that we can go over tonight, and I will show you how to find those local graphs on the MLS. It's not difficult to do. I've texted people with this information. I've screen captured it for a lot of my Zoom meetings that I've done with my friends and family members. You guys, it's not difficult. All you've got to do is dig in a little bit deeper than you have in the past. So show the local graphs. If they still have kind of resistance, like, oh, that's good, Rochelle, but I don't know, I'm still kind of not sure about my job. You know what? Then give them some national data, and then, continue to follow up with them. But I think the national data will prove out maybe some of their resistance to, jumping into the market as we go into the summer months. So let's go to the next slide. Kudos to Maricon. This is beautiful. Love this. This hopefully was done. I think looks like maybe Lori helped out with the graph, or maybe she created it, but it looks fantastic. She posted this on her social media on her business page. And she's like, hello, I hope this finds you and your family well and safe. And then if you're curious to know about specific city or search in comparison, don't hesitate to direct message me. Love that call to action. You did a fantastic job on this. You want to get the right messaging out. And I love how she really focused on the areas that she's working. So she might be working in King, Pierce, and Snohomish. I love how this breaks down the total listings, the amount of actives, and the closings. That's what clients are wanting to know, but they're also wanting to know, what is this like in comparison to last year? So I'm going to stretch Maricon to think about that and how she wants to display that data with the next thing we're going to talk about in a minute. But I love how she put this together, and really good job on getting this out and getting the word out on her Facebook. But you know what? Doesn't stop there. I would be talking about this data with your friends and family as well, and letting them know that you have this information. Direct messaging is great, but phone calls are even better. Next slide. So what can you share with your clients? You want to share local information with them. Sometimes they get so hyped up, if you will, with the national data. So what I would recommend doing is going on the MLS, do it tonight. This didn't take Shannon and I very long to pull this data. In fact, we're going to show you how easily it is to do this, but we wanted to compare. I have a family member who's actually looking at the South Hill of Puyallup. So he's looking at properties, Puyallup, Spanaway, and Graham. So all three of those areas, basically the hill. Doesn't really care. He just wants something newer. He wants something that's a good price. And so we wanted to compare and kind of do kind of an exercise like we're teaching you guys to do with him. And he found this very valuable. He works at Key Bank. So he's in the lending industry, very solid job. Wife is a stay-at-home mom. And this is my brother-in-law. So it's kind of that very close-knit relationship. And he asked me the same questions. Rochelle, how are you doing? I'm doing great. You had some challenges. I had to go through some challenges with real estate, but you know what? We're actually doing really well. In our office, we've had this many sales. And compared over last year, it's not very far off. And so you want to give them some real data. And the real data is the ones you find from the MLS. So let's go through the 7 days. Is pretty simple to do. In the last 7 days, just to kind of give them a framework, you can go to the Northwest MLS. So Shannon, if you could flip over, that would be great. And go to general. And you want to just go ahead and put in, again, we're not looking at condominiums. He wants a residential house. So again, if you're in the condo market or you're doing land, you obviously want to select your property type. But in the last 7 days, just go 0 to 7 days right there in the active. And then we want to put in county, so we can grab the cities and grab the 3 cities by hitting control. All 3 of the cities, Graham, Spanaway, and Puyallup. Shannon likes this area too, because that's where she lives. This is a good watch list for her. And right there, it tells you we have 45 listings. So in the last 7 days on the hill, there's 45 new opportunities. And he's also seen those opportunities because we have them set up on a hot sheet. But it makes it appear that I also am tied to him. Not only is he getting Redfin alerts, which he is, he put me on as a Redfin. He's been using Redfin for years. But now, not only is he using Redfin, but now we can talk intelligently about how many new listings have come up. Gosh, David, there's only been 45 that have come on, but that's a great opportunity because you're already pre-approved, you're already ready to go, and there's less buyers out there looking because of how many closings have happened compared to 2019. So there's 56 in the last 7 days that have happened, and 110 in the last 7 days. And we're going to want to compare that to last year. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But let's first go in and figure out, how did Rochelle and Shannon get the 110 and the 56? Really simple to do, you guys. Just go back to the search, change out, uncheck the active, go ahead and click contingent. Contingent is also considered pending, you guys. So I'd put that all in the pending bucket. And then you want to just back that out 0 to 7. And then it will tell you what the totals are for that in the last 7 days. Pretty simple to do, right? And then you just go ahead and click search, or you have the number down below, 122. Okay, so we got that one. And then the sold in the last 7 days, you just uncheck all those boxes, and then you click sold and you go last 7 days. You want to give this an appearance that you are in tune with the marketplace. So before COVID, maybe I'd only go 30 days back. Now with COVID, I've got to do every week. I've got to know what's going on in that marketplace. So I'm looking every week at what new listings have come on, what's pending, and what's sold, so I can be the expert. You don't want the client to be the expert thinking that he's got all of the tools when all he's got is a Redfin app. It's not good enough. He doesn't even know how to interpret the data, although I would give him credit that he's, in lending, and he works at Key Bank, so he's got a pulse of the mortgage market, but certainly doesn't have an understanding of the real estate market or the contract in general. So we've got that one. Let's show them, Shannon, how to go in and find last year's numbers. This is a bit difficult. So you want to go to, stats, market stats. Third one on the, go one more time so they can see it, Shannon. Yep. Not InfoSparks, not market reports, but market stats. Click on that. And then over on the left, yep, you want to click on customize. And you want to select the time frame. And you want to go, I think we did custom, right, Shan? Yep, we went custom. Okay, and then we went to March. Okay, and active listings, there we go. And by month, there we go, generate. And we only have residential, but we also have to put the county in there. We've got to put our cities so that we are capturing the same data that we wanted. Okay, and then we hit generate. And that gives us March's numbers. If you click on the actual graph, it'll tell you we had 245. I gotta exit full screen view. Go. All right, so then, yeah, then you've got to go back to your graph and put that in. There we go. Making my screen bigger. My eyes are getting small on the screen. There we go. And then we've got the active listings for March. We've got that one. Let's do you can do pendings right here too. Boom. You just change that to pending. There's your pending number, 337. How many sold units last year? Boom. Got it right there. Okay, so go back to our graph. And as you can see, last month, and then we have last 7 days. I'm gonna give bonus points to somebody who can figure out how to get the information of the last 7 days. But last month compared to 2019, so a lot of this is what they really wanna know is how many units are different. In fact, a title company even asked me, Rochelle, keep getting a lot of questions from other brokers from other companies. How do we fare, with the new listings in the specific area or the specific county? you can give this to your title companies too. I mean, they are wanting to know this information because it's coming directly from the Northwest MLS, which you guys pay a lot of money for. So you've got new listings at 30.3. It's off of last year by approximately, and the closings about 17%, but the new listings are off about 30%. So we're still going to have a lack of inventory. That's what I can see with the COVID. So be prepared for that. But as far as the closings, it's not off like 50% or 70%. It's not off that much. And I don't expect it to be much different than probably between 20, 25, maybe 30% as we get into May. We still have a ton of activity in Pierce County specifically. So this is the kind of things that your clients are wanting you to be well versed in. If you have not spent the time in learning InfoSparks or market stats, or just even going in and seeing what has gone on the market in the last 7 days, you're going to have a hard time when we talk about next week how to do pricing, because it is very, very hyper local, and how you look at the competitive nature of putting your home on the market dealing with COVID. You're not going to just be looking at like an appraiser. You also have to consider those new listings or those competitors that are coming on the market. And I want to, it's kind of a teaser for next Monday, but I want you guys to join me next Monday as we talk about pricing. We won't have time tonight to go over it. We've got more graphs that I think you guys need in your arsenal. If you have not taken this graph from, I think a couple weeks ago, I showed this graph to you guys in another PowerPoint. Maybe you were glossed over because you had so much on your plate at that time, or you're trying to file for the different grant programs. But don't forget, this home price change graph from CoreLogic is really good as well. It also shows that we're not like 2008. Because it's not a financial meltdown, the crisis is really health related. Think of it as like a traumatic experience like we encountered in 2001 with 9/11, or even in the 80s when that was kind of a different type of crisis. That's the kind of expectation you want to set with your clients, is that we're not going to have, the 20% the home price change because of the inventory. We are not seeing that, and we're not having the challenges that we had with the financial crisis. So that's what you can share with your clients. And I think that's a simple enough graph that they can see, they can read between the lines. This other keeping current matters. This article has been cycling across the nation, and it's super, super excellent at also helping people understand who are kind of on the fence, or they're unsure. Like I said earlier at the beginning of our meeting tonight, I said, if they're not sure, they're like, gosh, Michelle, I don't even want to talk about real estate. You know what? At least send them. Would it be all right if I send you a graph, some graphs that will help you understand what's really going on across the nation? I like that this article was done by the Director of Economic Research, and it's 5 graphs proving this is not like last time. So if somebody's really kind of having PTSD or kind of nervous about moving forward with either buying or selling, I would show them some of these graphs, and I have them quickly on the sheet here that we can go through. So you have the link if you want to, play this back, or if you want me to send it to you, I'd be happy to. I'll post it on our Facebook group. But go to the next slide. It's not like it was back in 2008 because of this reason. Number one, the mortgage standards are nothing like they were back then. So you can see this graph shows what today is like, and it goes back June. I like how it's kind of covering every year, but you can see how the curve is set up for mortgage availability index. It's not like the housing bubble that we experienced back in, the 2006, 7, and 8. Totally different marketplace for the lending. The higher the index it is to get the mortgage, you're going to kind of see how this works out. And you just want to kind of take the graphs, get familiar at explaining them, because you're going to get asked a lot of questions about it. It's tough to qualify. So it's different than back in 2006 when pretty much anybody, if you had a job, even if you didn't have a job, you could actually get a mortgage. We don't have that type of regulation today. And that's one of the good things about the availability index that you can share with people. Next one. The annual home appreciation, the price appreciation. So this is a graph that shows the 6 years leading up to the crash, the housing crash, and then the last 6 years. The prices are not soaring out of control. So as much as you think, oh, the prices are going crazy, it actually is not. It's actually very, very sustainable when you look at these two graphs compared to the bubble that was back in 08. So that was the crisis, the housing crash. And then here we've got the last 6 years. You can see that 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Again, this is national data that Keeping Current Matters gave us. But it, again, we're not seeing normal appreciation across the nation is 3.6. So historically, we're not like, you know, it's certainly not accelerating beyond the control as it did in the early 2000s. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Months of inventory of homes for sale. Love the inventory charts. So if you can show inventory and you are really good at explaining inventory and supply and demand, that is awesome. That's what clients are wanting to hear from you. They want your excitement. They want you to know and be able to explain what the inventory is like in Tacoma, what the inventory is like in downtown Seattle, what the inventory is like out in Sequim, you know, and be able to compare that to 2007 and now. This is a simple graph you could probably do or replicate and have a conversation about just by taking this idea that Keeping Current Matters put together in this slide. As the next graph shows, there are too many homes for sale in 2007 that caused the prices to tumble. And that today there's a shortage. And that will probably bode very well when you look at the other graphs as well. The percent of median income needed to purchase a medium priced home. So some people are getting really, really spooked, if you will, about the luxury market, about the $3 million and the $5 million homes. When you look at the median priced houses became too expensive to buy back in 2006. And today, relative to the income that we're making here in the Seattle area, we're not in that kind of crisis mode as 2006. So I love the affordability formula. It has 3 components. You got the home, the wages earned by the purchaser, and the mortgage. And that's how they come up with this percentage. So love this graph. If you guys want to use this graph and use some talking points around it, also shows to a buyer or seller, it's not like 2006. Next one. And then this is people are equity rich. They're not tapped out. So back in 2005, 6, and 7 talks about that. And then now it's total home equities cashed out by refinance in billions. So you can kind of read up on that. I'm not going to go into detail. I want to keep it moving here. The other thing I wanted to show you guys is there's an article, because we have a lot of Asian marketplace in the Seattle metropolitan area and beyond. We're starting to reach even into Tacoma and up to Linwood. The Asian population is very interested in the Seattle metropolitan area, which also includes down to Tacoma now and also goes up to Linwood and beyond. We're seeing, and they have this, what's nice is we can look at their historical data. And I love how this article gives us 2 really quick points that I want to bring to your attention. There's a release of pent-up demand from the Spring Festival and the coronavirus lockdown period in February. So again, they were a couple months ahead of us, but they're seeing a warming up of the property market in China. That's from Yang of eHouse that's cited in the article. So if you want to use the article, you know, if you want historical data of what the pandemic or what the virus did to China, you may want to include that article in also your listing presentation or your buyer presentations to just make them feel comfortable that you're up together on the not only just the local scene, but you're also looking at the international scene as well. And that your brokerage is giving you helpful data to help a buyer or seller make a decision. I love the other point he made. The sales outlook for the whole year depends on the development of the coronavirus condition, said Martin Wong of Greater China Research. It appears that the control of the epidemic has improved China, but imported infections could increase as people travel to China when other parts of the world are facing the pandemic. So again, although they're being pretty excited about the deals or the pent-up demand, he also is very cautious, you know, and also understand that they did a pretty good job of containing the virus. And so we also need to do a good job of, you know, still staying very respective of the laws of our land and making sure that we're washing our hands, we're making appointments before we go show, we're showing one person at a time, we're only meeting with inspectors, we're not meeting with clients to do inspections. Those types of rules will also keep the virus level down so that we can get our sales back up. Next slide. Okay, I think we got to the end. Awesome. All right, so I'll open it up for questions. I do want to just get us started on pricing for next week, but if you guys have specific questions, I'd like to open up the call. If you are muted, *6 is fine. I'd love your feedback on what you're doing. If you're having success with your clients, what are you saying to them right now on the phone? I only want to hear about success. I'm kind of done with, the first slide was COVID. I want to move on and hear about the success that's happening. So go ahead and unmute your line. I'm going to pick on some people here. Let's see. Shannon, can you go ahead?
Lisa.
Oh, hey, Louisa, go ahead. What's for you?
Where am I? Hold on. I don't know if you can see me or not. Well, just the successes that I am hearing back from folks from before COVID that knew people that I had served before. And so the word spreads, you know, you sell a house from before all this happened and you become trusted. And one of the sweetest things that happened to me during COVID is probably the first few days of it, I got a text from one of my clients that I spent a long time searching for, who finally found their house last year. And he said, "Today marks a year we've been in our house. Thank you." So that was very sweet. Because they were in a tiny condo with their kids and had family coming, and it would have been a struggle for them at the time.
Awesome. Love the idea of getting back to your closed clients. I mean, what a fun way to connect, and maybe that prompts you to do that with your other closed clients, is reach out to them and maybe send them it was kind of fun. I did that back in my career early on, was I sent them a birthday card for their home. And that was kind of fun. They kind of like that, you know, seeing that I recognize that. So very cool. I love that story. Anybody else like to share?
I want to share. Go ahead.
Oh, this is Lisa. Hi. So, one thing that I've had some success with, again, reaching back out to past clients. I actually sent everybody that closed on a house with me this last year a picnic blanket for out in the backyard. Almost everybody had a picnic or a backyard. And so it was just kind of a little reminder, like, I'm here. I know you can't go out in life, but you can go out, enjoy the beautiful weather. And it was just kind of like, I wanted it to be like a hopeful thing, right? Like, I know that this is crummy, but it doesn't have to be terrible, you know?
Yeah. Well, and a blanket is very warm. It connotes many different images, Lisa. So love the idea. That's a fantastic idea. How did you get that delivered to them?
Amazon.
Oh, love it.
I didn't want to go, like, I haven't been door knocking. I have been staying away from people. And so I didn't want to have my own hands on it, but I felt like they're getting everything else delivered from Amazon. So why not one more thing?
Cool. Love the idea. Thank you for sharing.
I do have one other question really quick while I've got the floor. Do you know people, I had about 5 clients who were pre-approved before COVID hit. As long as they're still employed, has their pre-approval changed at all? Do you know?
You want to talk with their lenders. Some of the lenders are experiencing some challenges in tightening, like restrictions. So, but that doesn't mean if they're experiencing that from the lender 30 days ago and you haven't found them a property, there's probably a lender that can do the deal. We just need to talk.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
You bet. And then Emily, I think you were trying to.
Yeah. Yes, I had a couple of good leads this week, and one of them came from a text message that I just sent to somebody. Are you sick and tired of COVID? Are you as sick and tired of COVID as I am? I've got some great strategies, or something simple like that. And they texted me right back, because it was a new registry on one of our Real Geek leads. And the person called back and they just said, "Hey, you made me laugh. And who is this?" They didn't even know who I was at that point. But anyway, we're working on a good pre-qual. I never try to move anybody from a lender that they're already working with.
Right.
Except this one, the more he told me about the lender, I was like, you know, I'm not trying to bash your lender. I work with lenders from all over the place. But the situation was, the lender was like, well, you should wait. Let's wait until COVID's over. And we don't know if you're going to stay employed through COVID. And I don't want to pull your credit and then have to do it again. And it was all kinds of I don't want tos. So I framed it positively and I said, hey, I would love to work with that person. I would love for you to send me that contact information. And maybe I could just throw out the seed thought that now is the time to do that because it's all true. If you have credit, you don't know about it until you're ready to shop. Let's deal with it now. You can look at potential scenarios and know what your payment is so that when all of this does clear up, you're ready to hit the ground running. He was like, yeah, that makes complete sense to me. Why wouldn't she suggest that? And I said, well, not everybody thinks that way. So I to, get that messaging to that person if you want, or, he goes, do you have somebody you could send me to? So he's just starting his pre-qual with somebody else who really wants to do it, And then the other one is just a brand new lead who wants to buy and sell because they're already thinking about September or October.
Awesome.
Hardly even having a conversation of COVID. Now, trust me, I'm taking this exceptionally seriously, but these people I'm talking to, they walked me around their house on FaceTime and stuff because they know that this too shall pass. So not everybody is fixated on the negativity of COVID. So I think that the message to my peers would be, get a feel right away for where people are and approach them that way. Because not everybody is gloom and doom.
No. I think we just need to expand. I love how you expanded on that conversation and just stepped into it. There's nothing wrong with having a little bit of humor and really connecting with people in that way. I think and respecting where they are, coming from, right? I mean, some people, I was on the phone with somebody and she's like, my mother has COVID. I mean, so that you're going to hear some of that and being respectful for how you handle those conversations. Now, certainly I'm not going to, stop communicating with her, but it's a different conversation than
absolutely
the real estate market.
And absolutely, that's what I mean by engage right away and just know where they're at.
Yeah, very good. Thank you for sharing, Emily. Anybody else like to share what's working? I saw a cool graph that Childers, Davidson, and Holmes had done too. So maybe we'll throw that up on the screen next week and kind of show how you guys are doing that. It's pretty neat how they've also really done a market watch. They posted that to everyone on the screen. You can isolate the market watch or the area or the demographic or what area you're trying to do right on your dashboard on the MLS. If you don't know how to do that, you could call the MLS. They've got time, they've got phone support, and have them walk you through how to do that because you really should be watching the market, especially in your own neighborhood. Chances are you're probably going to bump into somebody in your neighborhood as we start to walk around the neighborhood, walk the dogs, that kind of thing. But it's what you do with the data that's important. So while I love that you can set it up on the MLS, it's now taking it one step further. And how do you get that information out to the relevant information out to the people as they start to ask questions? You've got to prompt that. You can't just, okay, thanks, bye, and be off the phone. You've got to actually do more with the data than what you guys have probably done in the past. Anybody else like to share what's working for them or something positive or successful?
We have some positive news.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Who? Deanna or Childers Davidson?
Go ahead.
We'll go. We had another closing today, so all of our pre-COVID going into contracts are now officially closed, which is really a lot less nerve-wracking now. So that's nice. We're always looking for more business. Thank you for the shout out. We discovered on the dashboard, had an aha moment of if with your phone, if you log into the regular website through your phone, then you can just screenshot it and crop it and post it on your Facebook. That's
pretty simple to do, isn't it? Yeah, that's a good idea too. I love that you can capture. I think we get so used to some of these old things that we've always been doing that some of the people like you guys, Childers, Davidson, Holmes, they're cropping and they're texting that out and getting the word out to their database or the people that want that information about Tacoma. So love it. You guys are onto a good horizon. Love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's also, just wanted to say, there's also ways to save micro neighborhood. Like if you want to draw your own boundaries instead of doing a specific county or city.
Oh, market stats.
And then save that into market stats. And it's a little tricky, but after a year of redrawing the same boundary every single month, I finally found out a way to save it. So if anyone wants to know, let me know. let us know.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. You guys are, I know, on Facebook groups. So if you guys want to post questions, really appreciate all you guys on the Facebook group communicating with each other. That was awesome that Coy got a lot of help, and somebody else got a lot of help on what to send for schools. I mean, anything we can do to help each other. I mean, that's what, it's nice being part of Best Choice Realty. We are all independent contractors. We're all in this together, and we're all running our individual businesses. But we're not competing in that kind of way, in that type of typical, we won't name any name kind of structures. So love it. There's somebody else that was trying to chime in, and then we'll wrap up after this comment. Go ahead.
Hey, Rochelle, it was Deanna.
Hey, Deanna.
Hey, so I have a funny one for people.
Okay.
As you get locked in your basement and quarantined, thinking about what you can do, part of it is I'm going insane because I'm an extrovert and I need to be out.
Yep.
So I started to drive neighborhoods with some of my clients. And from my childhood, I went back to something called doorbell ditch. And
Okay.
I would go up to the doorbell with my gloves and my mask, and I'd ring the doorbell, and then I'd run to the curb.
Yep.
And the people would see me in the window, start waving. They'd open their screens. I'm having these full-on conversations with people across their front lawns. It was hilarious.
Awesome.
And they're all like, I can't believe you thought of us during this. I'm like, of course. Do you need anything from the store? And they're like, yeah, could you get me some milk? I'm like, no, I'm not going to the store for you. So
Love it.
anyway, just humor,
Yeah.
building some humor in, and of course, being supportive when you can.
That's awesome. That's those local, very unique ideas that maybe worked in the past. It's all about, it's a human thing that we're all encountering. So thank you for sharing. All right, you guys, I hope this was helpful. If you want the slides, I'm going to go ahead and make the graphs easy to share so you guys can use the graphs. And then I'm going to figure out how I can get you the talking points. But Keeping Current Matters did a great job in that article. So if you want to just download the article and get those images yourself and then incorporate them. If it was me and I was doing a lot of listing presentations or buyer presentations, I would be including some of those graphs to give people the high level, if you will. And have a great week. We'll talk to you next Monday.